and that is the Trump regime's increasingly using National Guard troops in states, in DC, in law enforcement and immigration capacities, which is beyond their scope. So, six Republican states have now sent National Guard troops to DC amid this most recent crackdown on crime, which we determined at the top of the show is at an all-time low, but that's their uh, excuse. So on August 11th, Trump announced the federal takeover of DC police force, which we know about, saying he was sending 800 federal DC National Guard members into the Capitol to staunch this crime wave, right? And now Republican governors of Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Ohio are deploying their National Guards to Washington upon the Trump regime's request. Now, funny story, the states sending these troops to DC have way worse crime problems than DC does, according to an analysis by the Democracy Docket of the FBI's crime statistics. Uh, 53 cities across Louisiana, Mississippi, Ohio, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia had higher murder rates than DC in 2024. Leslie, how do you say irony?
It's a publicity stunt, you know? It's just Trump doing what he's always done, and I recently was thinking, the thing is that when his casino one of his casinos, I don't know if it was the Taj Mahal, was doing really poorly, his father came in and bought, I don't know, $400,000 worth of chips and then never cashed them back in to give him, a loan. And he, in a way, is looking for a daddy to bail him out, but daddy's not here anymore. And he's got distraction and pomp and BS and, looking tough when, come on, man, that guy couldn't win one punch in a round. He's not a tough guy. He's a classic bully. And it is ridiculous how many other, I guess maybe they're all beta men, just lap it up and just want to be there. They want to be seen as tough and big men. And this isn't true strength, as I think a lot of us know. I think it's sad for the people of DC who they're the ones who've cleaned up their own city and they have a lot to be rightly proud of. And I think that, Trump is jealous. He's jealous of the Smithsonian and how awesome it is. And, he's just desperately looking for some kind of a win instead of trying to, mitigate food shortages, trying to bring down prices, trying to end childhood poverty, all the things that he should be doing. But we know he just wants to do what's wrong because it's wrong. He wants to do what's wrong because it's wrong. He's said that in, previous interviews. And I don't, we're gonna just have to get tougher at standing up to him. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a tragedy. It's gonna go to, Chicago, which is our neighbor. And this is a prelude, some people say, to the 2026 election. Um, yeah, we need to stand up, America.
Yeah. Well, like you said, a lot of it is just about looking tough, right? And as part of that, these guard troops in DC will be allowed to carry their service weapons, according to a directive from the Secretary of Defense. So the interim commanding general of the DC National Guard retains the authority to make any necessary force posture adjustments in coordination with the DC Metro Police and federal law enforcement partners. But yeah, they're going to be allowed to carry weapons, which is new and not great. Riley, you're just a young one. Are you familiar with Kent State?
A little bit, yeah. I know that I don't remember which war. I think it was Vietnam. But there were protests going on at Kent State, and they called in the National Guard, and there was a shooting, and several students, I don't know how many, ended up being killed because of trying to tamper down unrest. Um, that's about again. You clapped it on the. I'm young, so I don't know a whole lot, but I do know that much.
Well, the point is, and I think you were getting at it, is that like these guys, this is not what they're trained for. The National Guard is not meant to be doing, uh, you know, crime control. They're not law enforcement officers. That's not what they're here to do. And yet, Jesse, one last thing. Trump's mobilizing up to 1,700 National Guard troops in 19 states to widen the crime and immigration crackdown, like we just talked about. Not their purview, but documents obtained by Fox News show planning for activations in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. Texas is projected to host the most significant Guard presence. Jesse, what do all those states have in common?
Gosh, I just can't seem to figure it out. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Although Indiana's in here as well. Um, it's ridiculous that we are still operating. You talk about Second Amendment, and what that exists for, and why that was put into our Bill of Rights, right? And I just pulled up just to double check. I didn't want to slander anybody, so I pulled up the National Rifle Association website just to look for their news release saying this is what we've been talking about. This is why we exist. This is why private citizens have guns, is because when the federal government comes in and sends troops in to tell you what you can and can't do, we want to be able to stand up for ourselves. For some reason, I think their site must be down or something. I just wasn't able to find that press release anywhere. So really odd, because this is really
Solar flares. Yeah, yeah.
Government overreach and an oppression. Like that's exactly what they've been talking about. So anyway, I just wanted to get a dig about that. Yeah, I also just want to talk about, like, this is, I got to get a crack in on him somewhere, right? This is the flip side and intensified version of Joe Hogsett, for example, our Indianapolis mayor's insistence on running around chasing ribbon cuttings as opposed to actually fixing problems. It's about how do we look in the media? And Trump wants to look like he's tough on crime and he's really cracking down, he's fixing the problems. As we talked about extensively on the show, there is no crime wave, right? Crime is actually decreasing. It's not in acceptable levels, but sending in dudes with guns is not the way that you actually lower crime. But it will get a lot of TV press and then get people to associate him with law and order, as opposed to this manufactured media conception of lawlessness and crime. So, it's again just like trying to jingle the keys in your face while picking your pocket, right? It's to distract you. It's to make you think that something is really getting taken care of, when maybe the problem doesn't even exist. Maybe the problem exists, but this isn't the way you fix it. And it's a distraction from the Epstein stuff. It's a distraction from the self-enrichment and corruption going on. Not saying we shouldn't care about it. It's obviously horrific, but the goal is to get people arguing about something that was never in question before they started this, right? So,
Can I just, I have something to add.
Please.
Whenever Trump first released the initial announcement, his exact phrasing was to make DC beautiful and clean it up. And his initial intention was to clean up the homelessness in DC. And then they started going door to door and knocking on people's doors and setting up barricade, not police barricades or checkpoints, and
Yeah.
catching people that way. And if you look at the pictures of the people who were arrested, you will see a very distinct category of people who are being arrested, and it's mostly Black and Brown Americans. So his version of cleaning things up and keeping things beautiful really is just white nationalism at its core, and erasing people, just period. So he's trying to push that everywhere. It's white nationalism.